Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are doing something a little different. Usually when we talk about travel or, geography or even economics, we look at a place through the lens of history or politics.
The big picture stuff.
Exactly, the big picture.
Yeah.
But today, we are zooming way in. We're looking at a place through the lens of expectation versus reality.
I like this.
We're packing our bags, we're putting on the thickest, most heavy-duty wool socks we can find, and we are heading north to the Canadian border, specifically to a town that sells itself as the ultimate winter fairy tale.
It is a fascinating case study in branding. We are talking about Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Or no-TL.
No-TL, as the locals, the industry insiders, and the frequent flyers call it.
Exactly. And the reason we are diving into this right now, the reason this whole stack of research is sitting on the desk, is that the brochure version of this town is incredibly powerful.
Oh, it's magnetic.
It's totally magnetic. If you look at the marketing, if you just scroll through the Instagram feeds for a minute, it's horse-drawn carriages clattering down snowy streets.
The sound of the hooves on the cobblestones.
Yes. It's golden wine being poured into these delicate frozen glasses. It's this, this perfect Victorian dreamscape. It literally looks like it was built specifically for a Hallmark movie.
Well, there's a reason for that.
And actually, fun fact from the research, a lot of those Hallmark Christmas movies, the ones where the big city lawyer goes home for the holidays and falls in love with the small-town baker?
Of course.
They're actually filmed right there.
That's the aesthetic. It is so curated, so intentional. But what we found in the research and what we're going to unpack today in this deep dive is that beneath that aesthetic, beneath the layer of fresh snow and heritage paint, there is a very real, very complex logistical engine at work.
Right.
And that creates a central conflict for you, the traveler. Is this town a magical spiritual reset? A bucket list destination that sort of changes you?
Or is it, to put it bluntly, a sticky, expensive headache?
That is the question, and it's a good one.
That is the core question. And we aren't just guessing here. We've gone through a stack of sources, specifically focusing on this really in-depth, slow travel guide that strips away all the marketing fluff. We are going to look at the realities of visiting this place, specifically in the winter.
And that's a key distinction.
I think that's a really important distinction right off the bat. Why are we focusing on winter? Why not go in, say, June, when the flowers are blooming and the sun is shining?
Because that's when the value proposition is most interesting and honestly most precarious. We're talking about Icewine.
The main event.
That is the region's crown jewel. It is a product that requires freezing temperatures to even exist. I mean, it is an agricultural miracle, really.
Right, the grapes have to freeze on the vine.
They have to freeze on the vine. They have to be picked by hand in the middle of the night, pressed while frozen. To really understand it and to understand the whole economy of this town, you have to be there when it's happening. You have to be there in the cold. But as we're going to see, the cold brings a whole new set of challenges that the summer tourist never even has to think about.
So we are going to strip away that aesthetic of the cozy cabin.
We have to.
We're going to look at zoning laws, which sounds boring, but is actually fascinating. We're going to look at the manicured nature of the town, and we're going to look at the spreadsheet reality of what this trip actually costs.
Oh, the spreadsheet.
The spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Because spoiler alert for anyone listening with their credit card out, it is not cheap.
It is certainly not a budget destination. This is not a backpacking trip.
Yeah.
And our mission here is to determine if it's worth it. Is it a genuine escape, or is it, as one of our more critical sources put it, a sanitized theme park for retirees?
Ouch. That is a harsh description. That stings a little bit because the pictures are so nice.
It is harsh, but is it fair? That's what we need to figure out.
But we're going to unpack whether it's fair or not. And we found some massive surprises in the research. Things that completely go against the grain of what you'd expect. Like, for one, the best food in town. It's not where you think it is. It's not on the main drag.
And the idea that winter is the quiet season. The data from the tourism boards and the hotels suggests that's not entirely true either. It's a different kind of busy.
And my favorite one, the rookie mistake almost everyone makes with Icewine. If you are drinking it with dessert, you are apparently doing it wrong.
You're wasting it.
Wasting it. So settle in. We're going to break down the geography, the costs, the traps, and the magic. Let's dive into section 1, context and expectations.
All right, let's start with the geography, because this is the most common misconception, and it really sets the stage for everything else. I mean, if you don't get the geography right, you start the entire trip on the wrong foot.
Right. If you tell someone you're going to Niagara, 99% of people immediately picture the falls.
The big, roaring waterfall.
They picture the Maid of the Mist, the blue ponchos, the water crashing down, the barrel going over the edge.
And the neon.
The neon. My God, the neon.
Houston Hill. It's a whole vibe.
Exactly. Wax museums that look slightly off, haunted houses that are clearly tourist traps, massive casinos with flashing lights, fast food chains everywhere, arcades pumping out noise. That is Niagara Falls. That is a specific energy.
It's sensory overload.
And that is not where we're going today.
No. And the distinction is so crucial. Niagara-on-the-Lake is about a 20-minute drive away from the falls, and it's situated right where the Niagara River meets Lake Ontario.
It's a completely different world.
A different planet. If Niagara Falls is Las Vegas, loud, bright, chaotic, built for crowds, Niagara-on-the-Lake markets itself as the Napa of the North.
That's a great analogy.
Uh-huh.
So we are trading the casinos for vineyards. We are trading the neon signs for what? Gas-powered heritage lamps?
Precisely. It's quiet, it's historic, but it's also visually distinct. One of our sources describes it as arguably the most manicured town in Canada.
Manicured. That's a loaded word.
It is. And when they say manicured, they aren't just talking about people cutting their grass or, planting nice tulips in the spring. They are talking about heritage zoning laws.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because zoning laws sounds incredibly dry. It sounds like something you deal with at a city council meeting. But in this specific case, it dictates the entire vibe of the town.
It's everything.
It's the reason it looks the way it does.
It absolutely is. These laws are rigorously designed to preserve the 19th century aesthetic of the town. This isn't accidental. It is enforced.
What does that mean, enforced?
It means you aren't going to see a Golden Arches sign spinning on a pole here. You are not going to see a modern strip mall with fluorescent signage or a big box store right on the main drag. Everything from the font on the shop windows to the color of the bricks to the type of flowers they put in the hanging baskets in the summer has to fit the visual identity of the town.
Wow. So there's a committee that has to approve your sign.
There is a committee that approves your sign, your paint color, your window frames. It's that controlled, which creates that movie set feel we were talking about. It feels almost suspended in time, like you've stepped into a bubble.
I can see the appeal.
Of course. It's great for property values. It keeps the town looking pristine. It creates that premium feel that tourists absolutely love. But the trade-off, which we need to be honest about, is that it creates a very high barrier to entry for businesses.
Right, because it's expensive to maintain.
It makes finding affordable casual options like a cheap, greasy burger joint or a place to just grab a quick coffee that isn't $6 very, very difficult because the rent and the maintenance required to exist in that heritage zone are astronomical.
Well, the zoning acts as a filter. It filters out the grit. It filters out the convenience store.
Exactly. You get high-end boutiques, art galleries, and bistros. You do not get the dive bar. You do not get the corner store.
You can't buy a lottery ticket and a carton of milk on the main street.
You cannot. It filters the experience, and by extension, it filters the clientele. It creates a very specific socioeconomic bubble.
Now let's talk about the timing. We mentioned social media earlier. If you scroll through Instagram or TikTok right now, there's this huge push for winter in Canada.
The cozy aesthetic?
Yes. The whole thing. The fire pit, the wool blanket, the frozen waterfall, the steam rising off a hot trap. It's a whole genre. And Niagara-on-the-Lake sits right at the center of this hype machine. But why? Why would you go to a vineyard, a place that is inherently agricultural, in the dead of winter?
It's counterintuitive.
It is. Usually you go to a vineyard when the grapes are growing right, when it's lush and green and you can sit on a patio.
It all comes down to the unique product of this region. January is essentially the Super Bowl for Niagara because of the Icewine Festival.
Right. It's the main event. The whole month is dedicated to it.
Think about it. See, if you visit in July, it's lovely. It's green. The vines are full. But if you drink ice wine in July, you are drinking a heavy, syrupy, sweet wine in 30 degrees Celsius heat. It's a total disconnect.
That sounds awful.
Yeah.
It's like drinking hot cocoa on the beach in August.
Yeah.
It's physically unpleasant. It just doesn't fit the moment.
Exactly. But if you go in winter, specifically January, you are seeing the actual harvest. You are seeing the grapes frozen solid on the vines. You are seeing the struggle and the labor that goes into the bottle.
You're part of the story.
You're part of the story. Because remember, Icewine requires the grapes to freeze on the vine. They have to be picked while frozen, often in the middle of the night. They have to be pressed while frozen. So when you are there in January, you are witnessing the event. It is functionally a different destination in winter than it is in summer. The whole narrative changes from leisure to survival and craft.
That's a really cool way to frame it. So if you want the real experience, the experience that actually matches the product, you have to brave the cold. You have to earn it.
You do have to earn it.
But there's a phrase that keeps coming up again and again in our research regarding how to tackle this trip: slow travel.
Yes, this is key. It's maybe the most important takeaway.
And usually, slow travel is this trendy marketing term. It means, take your time, smell the roses, don't rush. But here, the sources are saying it's not just a suggestion. It's not just a vibe. It's a survival strategy.
It's a physiological necessity, and here is why. If you treat this like a standard bar crawl or a sightseeing dash, if you try to hit 6 wineries in a single day, rushing from one to the next, you are going to crash.
Physically crash, like fall over.
Physically and financially. Ice wine is high sugar, high alcohol, and incredibly high flavor intensity. It is viscous. It coats your mouth. It's not like drinking a light Pinot Grigio where you can have a few glasses over lunch and be fine.
Your palate just gets overwhelmed.
Completely overwhelmed. The palate fatigue sets in so fast. The sources are very, very clear on this. Attempting 6 wineries leads to sickness and bankruptcy. Your body just can't process that much sugar and alcohol in a compressed time frame. You will feel terrible.
So what is the ideal pace? If 6 is suicide, what is sustainable? What does a good day look like according to the guides?
The recommendation from the experts is 2 wineries, maybe 3 maximum if they're close together and you take a long break.
That's it? 2?
That's it. 2 wineries, 1 long lunch to break it up and reset your palate, a walk by the lake to clear your head, and then you are done.
And when you say done, you mean done for the night, because the nightlife
is non-existent. It doesn't exist.
The source says the town shuts down faster than a bank on Sunday.
That's a vivid image, and it's completely accurate. This is a town that caters to a demographic that is heavily 50+. If you are a listener looking for a club, a rave, or even a rowdy pub that's open until 3 a.m., you are in the wrong postal code.
So you're not going out dancing after your wine tasting.
You're not. The sidewalks roll up at 9 p.m., the lights go down, you go back to your B&B and read a book.
So adjust your expectations. This is about early mornings, quiet afternoons, and early nights.
Correct. And if you fight that pace, if you try to force a party atmosphere onto the town, you will be frustrated. If you lean into it, if you accept the quiet, it's incredibly relaxing.
Okay. Let's move to section 2. Let's talk about the vibe. The first impressions, because the arrival really sets the tone for the whole trip.
It does.
I want to paint the picture for you, the listener. You're driving in. Most people are coming from Toronto.
Which means braving the QEW highway, the Queen Elizabeth Way.
The dreaded QEW.
Yeah.
It's just traffic, concrete stress. It's industrial. It's ugly. You're fighting semi-trucks for position. But then you take that exit toward Niagara-on-the-Lake. And the source describes this physiological shift.
I know exactly what they mean.
You leave the highway, and suddenly you are in the vineyards.
It's a decompression. Your shoulders literally drop. Your blood pressure drops. The landscape opens up. You see the Niagara escarpment in the distance. You see the rows of vines, even in winter, just these stark lines in the snow.
It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. But if you are arriving in winter, especially in the evening, there is a very practical observation to be made here regarding the infrastructure.
The
darkness. These are rural roads. And because of that tasteful heritage zoning we talked about, there aren't massive floodlights everywhere. There aren't neon arrows pointing the way to the next winery.
No, the signage is subtle.
The signage is small, it's elegant, it's usually carved wood with gold lettering, which means if it's pitch black and it's snowing, it is very hard to see where you are going.
That's a great point. It's charming until you miss your turn 3 times and end up in a ditch.
Exactly. The elegance comes at the cost of visibility. You really have to pay attention. You need your GPS on, and your co-pilot needs to be watching.
But then you get into the town proper.
Yeah.
You finally hit Queen Street. And this is where that movie set feeling really hits you.
Describe it for us. What are we seeing as we pull in?
Okay, so it's the evening arrival. You've got these heritage street lamps glowing this warm yellow light. There's snow on the cenotaph, the war memorial in the center of the street. It is silent. It's almost startlingly quiet compared to the city you just left an hour ago.
And that silence is interesting because some people find it peaceful. It feels like a sanctuary. But our source critiques it. They describe it as a stiffness.
A stiffness, like it's too formal or something.
Yes. Think about walking into a hotel lobby in a bustling city like New York or Montreal. It's chaotic, it's alive, there's energy, people are running around laughing. Here, you walk into the lobby, let's say the Prince of Wales Hotel, which is the anchor of the town, and people are whispering.
Do you have a reservation? In a hushed tone.
Exactly. It's not a boisterous, welcome, come on in, we're so glad you're here. It's a very polite, very hushed, almost library-like atmosphere. It feels like you need to straighten your tie or fix your hair. It feels like you shouldn't laugh too loud.
Which leads to this concept the source brought up of the polite barrier.
This is a fascinating social dynamic that the source really keyed in on. The locals in Niagara-on-the-Lake are incredibly nice, Canadian nice. They will hold the door for you, they will smile. But because the town center is almost entirely dedicated to tourism, the interaction feels transactional. It creates a barrier. You are the tourist, they are the host. And it's hard to break through that performance.
It's hard to find the local pulse because the locals aren't hanging out on Queen Street buying a $300 Christmas ornament on a Tuesday afternoon.
Exactly. The town center is a stage. It's a performance of a 19th century town. And while the actors are all very polite, it's hard to get backstage to see real life. The real life happens in the subdivisions and the farmhouses outside the heritage zone.
So if you're looking for a gritty, authentic connection with a local at a bar who's going to tell you the real story of the town,
you might struggle to find that in the heritage district. It's just not set up for that.
Now, we can't talk about winter without talking about the physical environment. We mentioned the cozy aesthetic, the fire, the blankets. Yeah. But the reality is, it's freezing.
The ice in Icewine is literal. And I think people really underestimate this. You book a vineyard tour, you think it'll be romantic, strolling through the vines, holding hands.
And 10 minutes in?
10 minutes in, your toes are numb. The wind coming off Lake Ontario is damp, and it cuts right through you. It finds every single gap in your coat.
The source mentions that realizing you didn't pack warm enough boots is the first oh no moment for many travelers. That sudden realization that your fashion boots just aren't going to cut it in an actual vineyard.
But, and this is the key to the whole experience, I think, that physical discomfort is actually part of the psychological reward.
How so? That sounds completely counterintuitive. Why would being uncomfortable be a good thing?
Because of the contrast. If you are just warm all the time sitting inside, the wine is just wine. It's a nice drink. But when you step from that freezing, biting cold where your fingers are starting to hurt into a tasting room.
And it smells like fermentation.
And wood smoke. And yeast. And aging barrels.
Oh, that smell. So specific. It's one of the best smells in the world.
That sensory hook is what makes the trip. It's the relief from the cold that elevates the experience. It's a very primal thing. You earned the warmth. You survived the elements. And now you are being rewarded with this golden nectar. That dynamic is what makes winter tasting, in my opinion, superior to summer tasting.
I love that. It turns the tasting from just an activity into a reward. Okay, so we got the vibe. We know it's cold. We know it's quiet. We know it's a bit stiff, but beautiful. Now let's talk about the part that hurts. Section 3, the financial deep dive.
This is where we need to be very real with the listeners. We need to put the romance aside and look at the bank account.
The spreadsheet reality, as the source calls it.
NOTL is expensive. There is just no way around it. If you are looking for a budget trip where you can stretch your dollar, where you can scrape by, this is not it. Dreams of a cheap trip will die here.
Let's break down the costs. We're talking Canadian dollars here for a standard 3-day trip. Let's start with the big one, where you sleep.
Accommodations. On the low end, practically non-existent.
There are no hostels.
No hostels. The zoning doesn't really allow for it, and the property values are way too high to make a hostel business model work. You might find a budget motel on the outskirts, like towards St. Catharines, for maybe $120 to $150 a night. But, and here's the catch.
Transportation.
You are then paying $40 each way for an Uber to get into town.
Right. So you save $100 on the room, but you pay it right back in transit. You aren't actually saving anything, and you're wasting time.
Exactly. So what's the mid-range? What's realistic?
Yeah, what does a normal person pay?
Mid-range is your standard bed and breakfast or a hotel like the Pillar and Post or Queen's Landing. You are looking at $250 to $400 a night. And that's for a standard room, not a suite.
And the high end, if you want to go all out.
The Prince of Wales or the luxury boutique spots like 124 on Queen, that's $500 to $800 a night. Or more, depending on the suite and the season.
And you made a note here in the research about value, because price is one thing, but value is another. Are you getting an $800 experience in that room?
This is a really important point. In many of these heritage hotels, you are paying for the postal code. You are paying for the location and the history. You are not necessarily paying for updated hardware.
What do you mean by hardware?
I mean, you might have a creaky floorboard, a smaller room than you'd expect, and a bathroom that hasn't been renovated in 20 years, but you're paying $600 because it's historic and it's right on Queen Street. You are paying for the privilege of being there, not necessarily for a modern, high-tech luxury experience with a rain shower and smart controls.
That is a crucial distinction. You are paying for the atmosphere, not necessarily modern luxury amenities in every single room. You're paying to be in the movie set.
Correct. And you, the traveler, need to know that so you aren't disappointed when the floor squeaks or the water pressure isn't perfect. It's part of the charm, supposedly.
Now, let's talk about food and drink. Because you got to eat, and you're there to drink.
Breakfast is going to run you $30 minimum if you go to a sit-down place.
Right.
A simple breakfast, lunch is $40, dinner with wine, you are easily looking at $100 plus per person. Easily.
And again, the lack of grab-and-go options is a factor. There isn't really a dollar slice pizza place on Queen Street. You can't just grab a hot dog from a vendor. You are committed to a sit-down meal most of the time.
You're captive. And the real budget killer, the thing that sneaks up on everyone, is the tasting fees.
Oh, this one surprised me.
This has changed so much historically. 10 years ago, you could walk into a winery, pay $5 or maybe $10, and taste a flight of wines. It was a marketing expense for them. They wanted you to buy the bottle, so they made the tasting cheap to get you in the door.
Those days are long, long gone.
Long gone. Tourism has exploded. They don't need to beg you to taste anymore. The current reality is $20 to $40 for a standard flight of 3 or 4 wines.
Okay, that's steep.
And if you want an Icewine specific flight, you are looking at $30 to $50 for 3 small 1-ounce pours.
So let's do the math. If you do 3 wineries in a day, and you and your partner both taste at each one,
you're at $150 to $200 per couple just in fees. You haven't bought a bottle, you haven't eaten lunch, you haven't paid for your Uber. Just for the privilege of tasting the wine, it adds up incredibly fast.
that hurts. That's the sticky part we talked about in the
Okay.
intro. That feels sticky. But we promised a surprise. There's a value hack. There's a way around this.
The Discovery Pass.
Tell us about this. It sounds like the golden ticket.
If you are going during the festival season, specifically in January for the Icewine Festival, the region sells a Discovery Pass. It's usually around $50, and it gives you access to specific wine and food pairings at multiple wineries, usually 8 pairings across different locations.
So instead of paying a la carte at every single stop,
You use the pass. It encourages you to move around. It turns the trip into a sort of scavenger hunt. You get your pass, you look at the guide, and you see, oh, this winery is pairing their vital ice wine with a spicy sausage.
I see. So it's a curated experience.
A curated experience for a fixed price. So what's the verdict on value?
It sounds like a no-brainer.
If you use the pass, the value is high. You get to try a lot for a fixed price. It brings the cost per stop down dramatically. If you pay a la carte at every stop, the value is low. You are bleeding money. So if you are going in January, buy the pass. It is the only way to make the math work in your favor.
Okay, so let's summarize the daily budgets. Let's get real here. Give us the numbers so people can plan. What does it actually cost to be there for a day?
Okay, let's look at 3 profiles from the research. First, we have the sandwich traveler. This is someone trying to save money. Maybe they're staying outside of town, they're packing a lunch or eating very cheap. You're still looking at $200 a day per person when you factor in a tasting or 2 and the transit costs.
So even the cheap version is $200 a day.
Correct. Second, the standard couple, this is the target audience, a nice B&B, they've bought the Discovery Pass, they have one nice dinner out, and you're looking at $450 a day per person.
Wow, so $900 a day for the couple.
For the couple, yes. And third, the luxury traveler. This person is doing spa treatments, they're drinking vintage wines, they have the best suites. You are at $1,000 plus per day, per person. No ceiling, really.
So $450 a day is the realistic baseline for the experience most people are actually looking for. That's a mortgage payment for a weekend trip.
It is. And acknowledging that significant investment transforms the trip from a casual getaway into a major event, you have to plan for it.
It really is. Okay, so you've saved up, you've booked the trip. Now we need to talk about logistics. Because even with the money, there are traps. Section 4, logistics traps, and safety.
And trap number one is what I call the walking fallacy.
Oh, I've been guilty of this in so many cities. You look at Google Maps, you see two wineries, let's say Peller Estates, and Two Sisters Vineyards. They look like they are right next to each other. It's an inch apart on your phone screen.
Exactly. You think, we'll just walk. It'll be a nice romantic stroll through wine country. In July, maybe. It's a long walk, but it's doable. In winter, it is a nightmare.
Why? What makes it so different? Just the cold.
It's not just the cold, it's the infrastructure. These are rural roads. There are no sidewalks between the vineyards. The shoulder of the road is often a deep ditch filled with snow, slush, and ice.
Oh, I see.
And cars are flying by at 80 kilometers an hour. It is miserable, and it is dangerous. You are walking in the mud. Cars are splashing you with gray slush. You cannot walk the vineyard route in winter. Do not attempt it.
So what is the solution? You can't drive if you're drinking. We've established that.
Absolutely not. So you have a few options. One, a designated driver. But let's be honest, who wants to be the sober one on a wine trip?
Nobody. That's drawing the short straw. That's a friendship ender right there.
Exactly. Two, you book a tour driver. This is safe, it's convenient, but it is expensive. You're adding another couple $100s to your day. Three, the WeGo shuttle. This is a hop-on, hop-off bus system that connects the hotels and major attractions. It's affordable and safe, though it runs on a schedule so you have less freedom.
Or Uber. That seems like the easy answer.
You can use Uber, but be warned. Wait times in winter can be long. You might be standing in the freezing cold for 20 minutes waiting for a car because there are simply fewer drivers on the road. It's not like downtown Toronto, where a car is 1 minute away at all times.
Okay, trap number two. And this relates to that slow travel idea.
The Monday, Tuesday shutdown.
You think, I'll go early in the week to avoid the weekend crowds. That's standard travel logic. I'll be smart. I'll go when it's quiet.
It's a very logical thought. But in winter, the town takes slow travel literally. Many of the best restaurants and the smaller, more intimate wineries shut down completely on Mondays and Tuesdays.
They're just not open.
They're just not open. The chefs need a break, the staff needs a break after the weekend rush, so you show up on a Tuesday night looking for that life-changing pork chop you read about, and the door is locked. And you're hungry, and now you're stuck.
Exactly. The recommendation from all the guides is to go Thursday through Sunday. Yes, it's busier. Yes, the hotels might be slightly more expensive, but things are actually open. You don't want to be eating gas station snacks because all the bistros are closed.
Okay, that's a huge tip. Trap number 3. This is the one about the ice wine itself. The source calls this the dessert mindset.
This is the most common mistake people make. People think, ice wine is sweet, so I drink it with dessert.
It makes sense on the surface, sweet with sweet, cake with wine.
It seems logical. But if you wait until the end of a big meal, after the bread, the appetizers, the steak, the red wine, to drink a sugar bomb wine, your palate is already exhausted. You are tired. You won't appreciate the complexity of it. And biologically, adding more sugar on top of a heavy meal can make you feel sluggish and gross. It's just too much. So when should you drink it? At the beginning of the meal.
Treat it as an aperitif. Drink it at the start. Or even better, pair it with savory foods.
Savory. Like cheese, that's the classic.
Blue cheese is the ultimate pairing. The sharp, salty flavor of the cheese cuts through the sweetness of the wine and creates this perfect balance. Or spicy food. Thai food, actually, is an incredible pairing. But in NOTL, go for the blue cheese or a spicy pate. It's a revelation. But if you just drink it with chocolate cake at 9 p.m., you are washing out the flavor and wasting a very expensive wine.
That is a pro tip. I'm definitely trying that next time.
Yeah.
Now let's talk gear. We mentioned boots.
Fashion versus practicality. This is a big one.
All right.
You will see people arriving in heels or nice dress shoes because they want to look good for the photos. They want that Instagram shot in the vineyard. They will regret it instantly.
What do you need?
You need Chelsea boots with a rubber sole.
A rubber sole specifically. Why not leather?
The vineyards are icy mud pits. You need grip. Leather soles will slide, you'll fall. And the salt, they use a lot of salt on the roads, will completely ruin the leather. You need something rugged that you don't mind getting dirty.
And what about connectivity? Your phone.
It can be spotty, especially if you go deep into the vineyards near the river, away from the main town. The signals drop. Do not rely on your data. Download offline maps so you don't get lost in the dark trying to find your B&B.
Let's pivot to safety. We touched on the ditches and the icy roads, but what about personal safety?
Physically,
Yeah.
It's arguably one of the safest towns in North America. Violent crime is virtually non-existent. It's a sleepy, wealthy town.
The source says the biggest risk is a raccoon or black ice.
Which is true. You are far more likely to slip and fall in an icy patch than to be mugged. But there is a different kind of safety we need to discuss, which the source calls social comfort.
Right. Who feels comfortable here? Who feels like they belong?
So we looked at the experience for different groups to give a complete picture. For LGBTQ plus travelers, the verdict from the sources is very positive. The hospitality industry there is diverse and very welcoming. It's a friendly environment.
Good.
For solo women, extremely safe. The B&B lady culture, as one source put it, means there is always someone looking out for you. It's like having a dozen grandmothers watching your back. It is a very safe place to travel alone.
But for people of color, this is where it gets more complicated.
The source was very honest about this. It is a very white town. The demographic is older, wealthy, and predominantly Caucasian. While there were no reports of overt racism, everyone is polite, it's Canada, the source noted that the lack of diversity can feel isolating.
How so?
You might be the only person of color in the restaurant or in the tasting room. And for some travelers, that's a factor to consider in terms of comfort. It's just a reality of the demographics of the region and, frankly, the target audience of the tourism board.
That's really important context. It helps people know what to expect when they walk in the room. And finally, under safety, the legal warnings.
The ready checks?
The Ontario Provincial Police, the OPP.
They do not mess around. They know people are day drinking. They know the geography. They set up checkpoints on the roads leaving the winery zones, specifically on the roads heading back to the highway. And the laws in Ontario are strict.
What are the numbers?
0.05 blood alcohol content is a warning and can get your license suspended immediately on the roadside.
Not even the criminal limit.
No. And 0.08 is a criminal charge. Handcuffs, car impounded, a criminal record that can prevent you from traveling internationally.
So the message is crystal clear. Do not risk driving, even a little bit. Even if you think, I only had 2 small samples.
It is not worth it. The risk is massive. Just budget for the Uber or the driver. Consider it part of the cost of the ticket to this theme park.
Okay, we've covered the heavy stuff. We've looked at the costs, the risks, the freezing cold. Let's get back to the romance. Section 5. The highlights and the disappointments. Because for all the cost and the cold, there have to be moments of magic.
There are. And they are what keep people coming back. If it was all bad, no one would go. It wouldn't be this popular.
I want to share the best moment from the source. It wasn't a big gala. It wasn't a fancy dinner with white tablecloths and 10 forks.
No, it was simple. It was human.
It was a small winery. Snow was falling softly. They had these big wood-burning fire pits set up outside. And they were roasting oversized marshmallows over the fire.
Classic winter fun. You can't beat it.
And the sommelier came out and poured a Cabernet Franc ice wine.
Which is red. A lot of people don't know that exists.
Red ice wine. Most people think it's only white. They think of Vinal or Riesling, that golden color.
It's rarer, and it has a completely different flavor profile. It's much harder to make.
And the source describes the taste. Strawberry jam and pepper. And standing there, with the heat of the fire on your face and the freezing cold on your back, tasting in that strawberry jam and pepper wine. That was the moment. That was the magic.
That's the high contrast experience we talked about earlier. That's why you go. The elements amplify the flavor. You feel alive. You feel present.
And then there was the culinary surprise. We mentioned food is expensive, but is it good? Is it worth the $100 for dinner?
The source highlights a place called Treadwell. It's a farm-to-table restaurant.
They mentioned a specific dish.
A pork chop that justified the cost. And this is significant because often in tourist towns, the food is lazy. It can be. Because they know you're there anyway. They know they have a captive audience who have to eat.
So they serve mediocre food at high prices.
But in NOTL, the culinary talent is actually chasing the wine quality. The wine is world-class, so the food has to step up to match it. It has created a very competitive and high-quality food scene.
So the food scene is legit. It's not just tourist slop.
It is absolutely legit. There are serious chefs doing serious work there.
But not everything was a win. We have to talk about the disappointments. We need to save our listeners some time and some money here.
First up, the Haunted Walk.
NOTL claims to be Canada's most haunted town.
It does. It's a big part of its marketing, and they sell these ghost tours. But the source described it as theatrical and campy rather than authentic. If you like ghost stories told by an actor in a cape with a lantern, fine. It's a fine evening's entertainment.
But don't expect a spiritual encounter.
No. It feels a bit like a ride at an amusement park. It's entertainment, not history. It's a bit silly.
And the shopping.
Queen Street. This goes back to that hollow feeling we discussed. It has lost its local utility. You can buy a $300 Christmas ornament in July. You can buy 10 different kinds of expensive jam, but you can't buy a carton of milk.
Right.
You can't buy socks unless they are $50 alpaca socks from a boutique.
It's a facade.
It's a mall for tourists disguised as a historic village. It lacks the grit and the function of a real community. If you actually live there, you are driving to St. Catharines to do your actual shopping at a normal grocery store.
And the final disappointment. The source calls them the Instagram wineries.
We won't name names, but you know the ones. You've seen them online. The big chandeliers, the massive estates that look like French castles, the ones with the tour buses parked out front.
The source described the experience as herding cattle.
In, drink, photo, out, no connection, just processing tourists as efficiently as possible. If you want slow travel, if you want a real connection, you need to avoid the biggest names and find the smaller, family-run spots where the winemaker might actually be the one pouring your glass. That's where the real connection happens.
Okay, so we've unpacked the good, the bad, and the expensive. Now let's look at the bigger picture. Section 6. Alternatives and verdicts. If NOTL is just too polished or too expensive or too stiff for you, where else should you go?
The source suggests 2 strong alternatives for a similar vibe. First, Prince Edward County.
The source calls it the cool cousin.
That's a perfect description. It's about 2.5 hours east of Toronto. It is what Niagara-on-the-Lake was maybe 20 years ago before it got so polished.
What's the vibe? What does it feel like?
Barns, gravel roads, hipsters, younger winemakers who are experimenting with things like natural wine and orange wine. It's less about heritage preservation and more about innovation. It feels younger, edgier.
So less polished, more rustic.
Much less polished. It's grittier. It's harder to find a fancy hotel. You're mostly looking at Airbnbs or cool converted motels. But if you hate fancy, if you want something that feels more authentic and rural, this is the spot. It's much better for millennials and Gen Z.
And the second option?
The Finger Lakes in New York State.
The American twin.
Exactly. It's a similar climate, similar latitude, very Riesling focused, just like Niagara. But the geography is huge. You have to drive a lot more between wineries. It's better for road trippers who want to cover a lot of ground and see different landscapes around the lakes.
Okay, now the moment of truth. The final verdict matrix. Who should actually go to Niagara-on-the-Lake? I'm going to name a traveler profile, and you give me the verdict based on our research.
Let's do it.
The backpacker on a tight budget.
And no. A hard no. An absolute no.
Why?
You will bleed money. There is no hostile culture. You will feel completely out of place. Go to Montreal. You'll have way more fun for half the price.
The family with young kids.
Hard no. Even harder no than the backpacker.
Really? It seems so safe and pretty.
Think about it. You are dragging your kids into antique shops and quiet, whispery tasting rooms. They will be bored out of their minds. You will be stressed trying to keep them quiet in that hotel lobby silence we talked about. It's not built for them.
Unless you just stay at the falls where the fun stuff is and maybe day trip for ice cream.
Exactly. But do not stay in an hotel with young children. It's an adult playground.
Okay. The mid-range couple in their 30s or 40s.
Yes. This is the absolute target demographic. It's romantic. It's an easy reset from the city. The source's tip is, use the tasting pass to save money, and you'll have a perfect weekend.
And finally, the luxury traveler. The person for whom money is no object.
Absolute yes, without a doubt.
Why is it so perfect for them?
Because the town is designed for you. Private drivers, helicopter tours over the falls, private tastings in the library with the head winemaker, all that friction we talked about, the walking in the cold, the crowds, the long waits, it all disappears when you can throw money at it.
So if you're rich, it's basically a perfect frictionless experience.
It's a luxury product, and it functions best when you can afford all the upgrades.
Which brings us to our overall assessment, our final thought on the place.
You have to treat this trip like buying a designer bag. You know, logically, that you are overpaying for the leather and the stitching. But you aren't paying for the leather. You are paying for the brand, the feeling it gives you, and the quality of the design.
And the specificity of the product.
Exactly.
Because that's my main takeaway from all this research. It is worth it for the specific experience of Icewine in winter. Nowhere else in the world does this one specific thing this well.
I agree. It is best in class for that one narrow specific thing.
If you embrace the silence, and you embrace the cold, and you accept the cost, it's magic. If you fight it, if you try to do it on the cheap or rush it, it's just a frozen tourist trap.
Well said. That's the perfect summary.
So listeners, pack your Chelsea boots with the rubber soles. Book your dinner reservations way in advance, especially for a weekend. And maybe, just maybe, skip the dessert wine at the end of the meal.
Have it with the cheese at the beginning.
Have it with the cheese.
Before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought. We talked a lot about the heritage zoning and how it creates this beautiful, perfect-looking town, but it also creates that hollow feeling on Queen Street. It raises a bigger question about what some people call Disneyfication.
What's the question?
At what point does preserving the past actually kill the living part of a town? When you zone a town so strictly that a local can't buy a carton of milk or get their shoes repaired, have you turned a community into a museum that we just pay to sleep in?
That is something to think about while you're sipping that Cab Franc by the fire. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
Safe travels.